Hey everyone, I'm Vin Ebenau here from the WOBM Newsroom for another Facebook Live session for WOBM News here with John Roth and Rachel O'Day. John Roth is the founder of a nonprofit called Recalibrate, and Rachel O'Day is with the Mental Health Association of Ocean County, the director. And we're here today to talk about this group Recalibrate that's out there to support military members transitioning from active duty to civilian life, and maybe some of the troubles that they're encountering along the way. John, who also a Jackson Township police officer, so double duty, Marine Corps. How did the idea for this program or this nonprofit come about, and where has it taken you?
Several things came about. First, I'm involved with CIT, which is it's a program that Rachel will talk about in a little bit, right? She'll talk about CIT and how we met. But there was a need in Ocean County. We have the highest number of vets in the state, in our county itself, about 40,000 vets. And there's a problem, an epidemic that everyone's known about. It's the 22 veterans that take their lives every day. Besides the VA, there's no other source. There's no other mental health facility or quick care or services or any peer groups for them besides the BRIC VA. So I decided to take it upon myself and with other members that are involved as well. And we kind of just got together and said, hey, we have to take a different route. It's not going to be the old school way. There's been an epidemic, but everyone's been doing something for so long and no one's ever changed a different that dynamic of taking care of veterans.
Now, Rachel, how did you and John meet up about this? What were the original discussions about your office getting involved with his nonprofit?
Sure. Well, John and I met through CIT, which is a nationwide initiative for crisis intervention training. It's a training that promotes the collaboration of law enforcement and mental health services. John and I met, being both facilitators. And in my office specifically and across MHA as an organization, we really promote peers in the workforce, so people that have lived experience and how they use their stories to promote hope and motivation to others. And when John and I met through CIT, him and I had a conversation about what he wanted to do with the nonprofit, and he said there really needs to be vets to vets, and vets understand veterans more than anybody else, and if they want to hear something from somebody, they want to hear it from veterans. And I said, well, that's peers. That's what we do. And if there's any way that we can help support that, we want to be a part of it. We just feel at MHA that veterans and law enforcement is they're our everyday heroes and they should not be forgotten. So any way that we can step up and help promote services, we're going to do it. So we fully support John and his initiative, and we have helped train some of the facilitators that are running the peer support groups for his veterans and law enforcement. And then the groups are held at our Ocean County office at 25 South Shore Drive in Toms River.
Now, what are some of your personal stories about how, why helping fellow military members, fellow veterans transition from that? Explain to everybody how difficult that could be for some people, maybe some more than others, or maybe for everybody, coming over from whatever mission they were on, whatever assignment they were on, whatever country, coming back to the States and trying to live a normal life without, all that other daily activity that they're accustomed to.
Yeah, a lot of it is the military is a different way of life. It's a different lifestyle. So when it comes into the civilian world, it's a little different. They have to adapt a little bit. Things aren't going to come when they ask for it. Like usually in the military, when something happens or something needs to be done, it's done right away. The procrastination, there's anxiety of these guys when things aren't getting done right away, and that builds up to frustration. And it's just a different culture. But transitioning to civilian life, when they get out of the military, they're trying to find out if they want to go back to school, if they want to go to a trade school, if they want to get into the workforce. They're not exactly sure. So that can be big struggles. Also finding employment, providing for their family in the military that's already given for you, provide for you. So they're actually looking to become a person where someone that's gone to college and going through other things have experienced different experiences than the guys in the military. These guys coming out younger age or even older, they've gone through great deals of exposure of like difficult times and stuff, and for them to express themselves, they might be a little older than they really are. So a 22-year-old might be almost equivalent to like a 30-year-old sometimes at some points from his life experiences. So that transition from the military life into civilian is kind of rough for some guys, and some guys either they resort to drugs and alcohol, or they just go down this slippery slope where they can't get back up, and they need someone to kind of like, hey, that's how the name Recalibrate started. Hey, you have the right tools, you're a leader, you're going to be great in society. You just need to kind of change things up and we'll get you there. So
now, I imagine that everybody's experience is different from person to person with when they react or how they react. Maybe it's not right away after they come back home. Maybe it is. Maybe it's years down the line. Or for some veterans, it's maybe as soon as they get over that, things come back years later. How can Recalibrate help continue talks, programs, what your nonprofit is offering, so that it's not just a one-time thing? If they want to keep that conversation going, is that part of Recalibrate, that if these men and women want to keep talking with the two of you and Recalibrate, that they can continue to do so?
Yeah, we originated, a lot of our members and our board members from Recalibrate all worked in the courthouse with the Veteran Diversion Program, which is ran by the state. Ocean County was the pilot program for the whole state, and a lot of us are mentors, and we've been doing this for the last 3 years. We've seen how successful that program is. So that mentorship, being there, talking to them, we understand and we know personally that they will talk to the peers more than it will clinicians. There's things that red flags will come up, and we can address it a certain way that they won't open up to a physician at a facility at like the VA perhaps. But we're just there to be there. Like it's not a non-clinical group. It's all pure stuff. It's laid back. If anyone wants to say anything, it's just a bunch of guys talking, guys and girls talking, going through their daily struggles. We talk about everything from the VA to just day-to-day things. That could be relationships, could be how people are reacting to you in a certain way in your manner that you hold yourself, that some people might think it's aggressive or they might think you have a bad attitude, but we address that and talk about it. We just started workouts too a couple months ago, free workouts at Apache CrossFit, where we just want the guys, not only is it like the mental, but that physical. Once you start feeling good about yourself, you're just going to hold yourself, and it's going to get you out of that slippery slope. Except having those 1 or 2 beers that you can't stop, and you just keep having more and more, and then you feel sorry for yourself and you feel like you're hopeless. Well, the physical aspect is part of the mental game as well.
Is the reason for an addiction to drugs or alcohol, is that you typically tie to any kind of trigger, a memory that they may be suppressing, or is it more to do with something that's going on in their regular daily life, and or a combo of the both? And I'll let you both answer this one. In your experience so far with Recalibrate, what has your experience been with some of these men and women coming in seeking help, about why they may be going directly to the bottle or hanging out at the bar?
I think it's all about coping strategies, and knowing which ones are healthy and which ones are negative. And if you have memories or a mental health disorder that attributes to triggering that produces a negative coping skill, that's going to be problematic for you. I think one thing with Mental Health Association and Recalibrate is really trying to reframe and recalibrate their way of thinking and using those negative coping skills, and how we can make them realize that there's healthier ones out there. And if they do have that triggering thought, or they do have a reoccurrence, then what are some of the other outlets and what are the other strategies that they can use that are going to be healthy and give them a fulfilled life?
Yeah, I think they have different outlets. I think veterans have different outlets, and they just tend to go to the different culture. In the military, drinking's in there, and say sometimes that's what guys used to do to get over things. It was that tough man mentality, and carries into their civilian life. They're just going to keep carrying them. If they feel comfort, they're going to go to that. But that's why Recalibrate, we're trying to offer not only the peer-to-peer stuff, the workouts, But fishing, we did a fishing trip with guys from Wicked Tuna, which was pretty worked out pretty well. We're going to do some local local events with local businesses for guys to get out there, and maybe they have a different outreach for them, because they're not just going to grasp onto one thing. They might be, we're going to also start a book club, veterans that want to read and talk, and it's just another way for veterans to open up to one another.
Is there a lot of peer counseling, like fellow vets talking to fellow vets, or do mental health counselors get involved in group sessions or set up programs to be a listening ear to some of these people, to hear some of their problems or their issues or some of their struggles, I should say, in their daily life, that they could not only just talk to, their friends, their comrades, but also to somebody who can kind of dig deep and help them work through some of their struggles?
Absolutely. I think that that's what's great about this collaboration, is that you have the peer aspect, you have the veteran to veteran, but you also have the mental health piece. And even though we're not clinical ourselves, we have various trainings that support crisis intervention and motivational evidence-based practices and approaches that allow us to help the members of Recalibrate really dig deep and find out what in their journey needs to be addressed, and bring things to the forefront and really focus on goals. And I think the biggest thing too is peer-to-peer and mental health wise is understanding that everybody's journey is individual. And I think that's what's great about Recalibrate also, is that they're using many different approaches. Not one specific area is going to help somebody. Some person might come in and the groups are going to be everything that they need, and it's really going to open them up. But somebody might need a physical outlet. Maybe somebody needs a holistic approach. Maybe somebody does need more clinical services. But us together working that is just what's super beneficial to this program and initiative. So
it sounds like it's more than just, sitting in a room and talking about it. It's maybe channeling that aggression or that anger, that fuel, something that's triggering somebody into something like working out or fishing, trying to relieve the stress and trying to find an outlet. Are you going to continue to build on some of these type of exercise programs or type of discussion groups?
Yeah, a lot of our guys are trained with the CIT program. So we can identify if they need more mental health, if they need clinician help. Right now it's just pure stuff, and then we just talk about day-to-day stuff. So anyone that's interested can be, oh, I'm not having a bad day, or I'm having a bad day. You can come and talk about what's going on. You don't have to have a mental disorder to be in our group. You just need to be a veteran and talk about it. But I think there's a big stigma with the public that thinks with PTSD and TBI, which is a traumatic brain injury, that veterans are just to be shunned away and in the workplace, but they're actually just need, it's not just one thing, correct me if I'm wrong, but with PTSD, it's a broad scheme of things. It's a whole umbrella. You could be sleeping, your sleep could be off, or sleeping too much, being lethargic, being anger issues. There's all different things, aggression and anxiety, anxious all the time. So it's not just one or two things. It could be one of those things, and you might be going through it. You might not know you have it. I know veterans that didn't know what they had, but they had something going on for years, and then they realized, well, that's a form of PTSD. That's what they're putting under that umbrella. So I just kind of want the public to understand that it's not just one thing. It's not just flashbacks and stuff like that, like they used to call it back in the previous wars. So that's what we're going to be doing. And moving forward, we're going to be hopefully working with Ocean County College and helping them start their transition program, and work with them as well, doing trips to various places. Not only just veterans, but veterans with their families as well, because that's the whole point, not just to isolate veterans by themselves, but to get them back with their families and spouses and loved ones.
So that they can work through it together.
Correct.
What about the transition from, active duty back home, and experiencing some daily things, not necessarily, alcohol or drugs or anything, but everyday things like 4th of July was just recently, fireworks going off. Have you found that something like fireworks can trigger a memory? Is it something that maybe somebody's having a casual conversation and it's certain words that pop up, or maybe when things get heated, it kind of brings on memories? How Is that common, and how can some military members, active and veterans, kind of help overcome some of those struggles?
It could be anything. It's the fireworks. That depends on the veteran itself. It goes veteran to veteran, just like anything else. But you said triggers. That could be anything. I know somebody that took someone to the ground, their girlfriend to the ground, because they heard an air gun go off, and that there was a compressor and an air gun going off to change tires. It could be different sights and smells that they might trigger them back, and that could bring them back to a bad place, a bad memory, and their whole mental focus is out of whack. But us being here right by the base, you're constantly hearing artillery rounds and machine gun fire. So maybe that could trigger someone, but we have amusement parks like in Ocean County as well. We have Six Flags, Point Pleasant Beach, and Seaside Heights with the rides. It could be anything. It could be the crowds. There's not just one thing that would set a veteran off, but just dealing with the veterans throughout for the last couple of years and for the time I've been in, it's just a multiple of things that come together, and it could be one or two things that set one veteran off than the other.
Well, now you're a police officer in Jackson Township, and it seems to be somewhat common, maybe some, whatever branch of the military they served in, that they want to become a police officer. Is that a difficult transition? Was it for you? And do you find that it could be difficult going from the military to regular law enforcement here in New Jersey, a police officer, a detective, chief, that trying to battle any memories or triggers that come up? Or do you find that maybe, is it different from person to person? Was it a little more easier transition to go from being in the Marines to becoming a law enforcement officer?
It's hard for military members coming back. With the psych, people are getting diagnosed with PTSD, and they're already getting canceled out of the job, that causes a slippery slope for these veterans. They want this job because all they want to do is not only help the public, but they want to be there. They want to be on the front lines. They want to help out. That's the kind of character to be in the military you have to have, or you want to do it. It's a greater cause than yourself. So serving the public and continue to serve, it's in their DNA. It's in their blood. It's their character. They're great leaders. They've gone through a lot of leadership programs that a lot of businesses would pay thousands upon thousands of dollars just to send people through a week course, where the military, that's where they established. Myself being a reservist was easy to transition because I was still working, but also had the military life at the same time. I got deployed in my early 20s, and once I got done with my deployment, I came back and I was working again. At that time, I was working for Seaside Heights Police Department, but it was just easier to transition. For me, that varies to veteran now, depending on their experiences.
And going back to what you said earlier about triggers and eliminating the stigma, what are some of the things, and you both can answer this as well, that could be done to eliminate the stigma in public of military veterans that have PTSD, or signs that everyday people that aren't involved in the military could recognize in someone, and maybe instead of running away from them or scoffing at them, maybe try to reach out and help them, or even just wave and say hello or say, hey, how you doing? How can the public form a better relationship with some military personnel, military veterans, and just simply thanking them for their service, but also making sure that they're doing okay?
I think awareness is huge. I think that people just need to be aware of what's going on, and also there's various trainings that someone can go through in order to better equip themselves if they are seeing someone that is having a mental health crisis. There is a nationally recognized certification that Mental Health Association does. It's called Mental Health First Aid, and it's an amazing training program where people can better understand individuals that are having an episode or a mental health crisis. And there is specialty training, like veteran training, that is available that can really help people understand. I think when people understand and are educated and are aware, the stigma will start breaking down itself. But I think that step towards having a better society and an open mind overall is the first step to that.
And as for the veterans, just to be okay, that it's okay that the public doesn't understand their way they're feeling. They don't understand that the experiences that we've gone through. So for them to come and talk to us, just any other veterans, we have veterans from Vietnam to up to present day, Operation Iraqi Enduring Freedom. Sorry. So everyone has those experiences as for the veteran, but as the public, that PTSD, TBI cloud or umbrella that their stigma, it's just like any other injury. It can be treated, and it's just like an injury that you have on the battlefield, but it's just not seen now. It's now that they can take care of it as long as it's addressed. They can be perfect and productive in society, just like anybody else.
Maybe perhaps it's a bit of a trigger, but not to dive too much into politics or off topic, but with what's going on with the national anthem protest, it seems like it's opinions on both sides of the aisle. But is that something of somebody taking a knee during the national anthem or protesting the national anthem, raising their fist during the national anthem? Does that seem to bother most veterans, most law enforcement officers, who, maybe most people see the sign of the flag as a representation of the freedoms that we have, that were given to us, helped by the men and women who, serve to protect our freedoms? Do you find that's somewhat bothersome to veterans, police officers?
Again, it varies veteran to veteran. The majority of the guys understand what they fought for is for the freedom of speech, and they have the right to do that. But at the same time, I think they have to understand that it's also offending the veterans that have lost loved ones, brothers, sisters, cousins, that have done amazing things for this country, for the act of freedom, and for the act that they're doing on the flag. Some veterans take that very personal, and not disrespectful, but they understand that they have the right to do that, and they can do it as they choose, but they understand that is that important to America, our country, that it is for freedom of speech and stuff, even though they've lost loved ones.
What else can the public do, so that they could better understand what it is somebody who's returning home is going through in their transition, and to better offer support, in public, to help people transition back to a daily life? It goes with that adage, you never know what somebody else is going through.
I think it's just an openness to care. Don't be afraid of it. Just how are you doing? Don't be afraid to ask the question because you're afraid of the answer. I think it's just being a stand-up person and being aware that these individuals have put their lives on the line and they deserve respect like everybody else, if not more, and to really just put yourself out there and say, how are you doing? And be willing to be that listening ear at all times, regardless of what their answer is.
What are some of the things that, from both your perspectives, that some of the military vets, active military personnel can maybe teach the public, about how to live, how to live a good life, how to be a leader, some life skills that, you think you go over to a war, to a battle zone, and there's, a lot of tragic things, a lot of bad things, I'm sure, but I'm sure there are things that you could take away from maybe your fellowship, your friendship over there, that there are some good things or some things that you learned during drills that you could bring back to daily life and teach society some things that you learned. That, what are some of the things that military personnel could teach all of us about how to live life?
Just leading by example, living your day as a leader, as a great father, husband, brother, sister, mother. Just by the way, your actions is kind of how you still represent the military. Like if someone walks by, like that guy was in the Army, that guy was in the Marine Corps, that guy's a Marine for the rest of his life, that guy was in the Navy. You're gonna have that title with you for the rest of your life. So anything you do in the job, just being firm and just being open-minded with people and get things done, get the mission accomplished, and that could be as your daily tasks of being a good father, of just being there. I think that's one of the best ways for military veterans to show the public that it's fine, because they've been through the worst of the worst. They've seen some dark areas, and now they know what the best of life is family, friends, and just enjoying their daily things that everyone takes advantage for.
Circling back, I'm sorry, to Recalibrate itself, how do the both of you hope to expand this and get the word out to military personnel, military veterans, and of course, public awareness as well, to reach out to some of these military personnel coming back to civilian life and helping them with that transition and letting them know that help is out there.
Well, we at Mental Health are fully embedded within our community. So any outlet that we have the opportunity to promote what Recalibrate is doing and how we support their efforts, we take full advantage of that and really try to make sure that all the providers, that local organizations are aware. So if they have participants or clients that are interested in the services, they're aware of them. John is taking more of a personal approach, trying to get a hold of VFWs and statewide initiatives and things of that nature. So we're really trying to attack it from all angles just to really bring awareness of the amazing work that he's doing.
How do you encourage maybe some fellow military personnel or veterans that, it's okay to ask for help, it's okay to talk to somebody about any struggles you have going on, no matter how big or small they are? Any veterans out there now watching this or listening to us at a later date, what would your message be to say it's okay to come help, or even just to sit there and talk or be a listening ear for somebody to help out?
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever you're going through, it could be just anything that in your life that you're maybe struggling with, that is normal. It's normal for veterans that feel this way and maybe act a certain way, but maybe we can talk about it and you can take those approaches, take it a different approach to the way you're dealing with things. Maybe it could be sleep, it could be anything else. But I think veterans just relax, kind of take a step back and kind of self-evaluate yourself a little bit. If that's the path you want to go down, then go ahead. But we're here to help you if you want to change that path, if you want to get off that slippery slope and get back on track and be that person, that leader that you wanted to be in the military now into civilian life.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Rachel.
Okay. I think that's just the power of peers too. Talking to someone that has lived experience, that shared experience that you have with each other, take some of that pressure off. Someone could be struggling with mental health or substance use and be very unaware and very unsure of going out and seeking clinical professional help. But bringing that peer aspect to it and being able to talk to somebody that has been in those shoes before or has had similar experiences kind of breaks down those barriers and really allows a warm crossover. If other services are needed, they feel more comfortable with them. And if they don't, then they know that they have, at the very bare minimum, another support mechanism in their place. And I think that capital and that structure and support in your life is important.
How can anybody out there now get involved with Recalibrate? Reach out for services? Is there a website or an email address
right now,
you want people to reach out for?
Right now we only have a Facebook that's up and running,
okay.
And an Instagram. It just spreads the word out. And we also have a phone number, 732-854-4077. That's Recalibrate's phone number. You would reach one of us, okay. And we can you can leave a message or we'll talk to you right away. But just get involved. We have meetings the third Wednesday of every month at Mental Health Association, right, okay. On 25 South Shore Drive at 6:30.
Just making sure you remember.
And that's where our meetings are held. Our workouts are at Apache CrossFit. They're posted month to month, and that's on Fisher Boulevard and Hooper Ave. So if they ever want to reach us, they can reach out to Mental Health Association or Apache CrossFit, and they'll put us in touch with us.
Go ahead, Rachel.
That's okay. And Mental Health Association also runs support groups for mental health and substance abuse Monday through Friday evening. So 25 South Shore Drive. If it's not a date of a meeting, there's going to be a different meeting that focuses on wellness and recovery. So anytime that they need services, they can come on over.
Some closing details. What it is about, both of you could take a turn, Recalibrate, that you want everybody to know out there. Your final thoughts on what Recalibrate is, and what people need to know. It's
just a great group of veterans that are coming together and trying to just help the brotherhood out. It could be the sisters and brothers, but we all serve a purpose. And now that we're out of the service, we're not done serving each other. We have to continue to serve one another. And the struggles that you're going through, someone else has experienced that before. So you're not alone. You're not doing it by yourself. There's thousands of us here to help you and lift you back up.
Rachel?
I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, your life is important, and you deserve the best life you could possibly get. So if that means coming out for services and recognizing more supports out there, we're just here to help.
John, Rachel, thank you for joining me this morning. And on Facebook Live, you did good for a live session. And certainly for all the good work you both are doing with Recalibrate, and continued success with that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
John Roth, Rachel O'Day, I'm Vin Ebenau from the WOBM Newsroom. We'll have full coverage of this story and how you can get involved with Recalibrate or seek services at WOBM.com. Take care.